Do you mind? All right, everybody, we're live right here at the Live on Fish, North Georgia, this Tuesday night. We appreciate you guys joining us. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, click that notification button. If you're watching at a later date, we love you too. We got a great show for you guys tonight. Got Drew Cook and Kyle Welcher on with us right now. We got Sal Pinto. Lots to go over, lots to discuss. I'm going to be flying through this first part a little faster than normal because we're on a little bit of a time constraint with these two guys. They've got a lot of stuff to do. So we're going to hit our sponsors really quick, and I hope you're ready there, Alex. So again, Trent Palmer and the guys over at Sonar Pros, the absolute best in the business. 770-530-4505. Trent is fishing this tournament as well. Not that quick, but yeah, there we go. And so good luck to him as well in this NPFL event we're going to be talking about. Lip sticker fishing, Kevin Underwood. Again, you see it every single day on Facebook. Megalodon, spotted bass. If you want to jump on them on Lake Lanier, book a trip with Kevin. Hit him up on Facebook right there. And the best rod sleeve in the business, bar none, in our opinion, is Evolve Fishing. The Evolve rod sleeve, again, it floats, protects it. The best thing is throw it in that rod locker, the hooks don't get stuck. So get them here at Fish North Georgia, as well as the best lure retriever on the market, the Money Saver Lure Retriever. For all the money you spend on these fancy baits, you might as well have the one that's going to get it back. So the Money Saver Lure Retriever right there. And if you're on Allatoona, okay, Bill Payne. 706-280-2305. Fish with a legend. He is the best. Also, smallmouth trips in certain times of the year to certain locations. Hit him up, especially also if you want to get your sonars dialed in right there. And then we got the up-and-comer Brooks Anderson Fishing here on Lake Lanier. Very good with high school and younger anglers. He's a great teacher of that. Also will tell you exactly what spotted bass are doing and what baits and why. So there we go. I did that pretty quick tonight. How about that? So I kicked that pretty good. So let's go ahead and pull our guest on. For those of you that don't know, the NPFL is having their final event of the year on Lake Murray this coming up weekend. And so what we've got with us tonight, Mr. Drew Cook and Kyle Welcher, you two are battling for the Angler of the Year going into this last event. So, again, Drew, you've been on several times. Kyle, thanks for finally getting on the show with us. We appreciate you guys joining us. Hope you're doing well. Is it raining out there?
It just stopped, pretty much.
Not at this exact moment.
What's the forecast for the, weather over the next few days?
It looks like it's going to blow out, and then it's going to be like pretty post-frontal and windy tomorrow, and then get a little colder.
Okay. Is tomorrow the first day, or is it Thursday?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow's the first day like that. So these guys, listen, we're going to have them for about 30 minutes. If you got a question or a comment for one of these two, put it up there. So, Drew, you're ahead by what? 2 points
Something
going
like
in this
that.
final bit? Have you got
Trent
and all the guys?
Might as well say nothing.
Nothing. So let's just say it's dead even.
We're even.
Tell me about your mindset going into this tournament. Any added pressure?
Man, yeah, to get this thing over with. I'm just ready to be doing bass fishing for the year. We started a year ago, literally.
Yeah.
And,
right.
I'm just ready to take a break.
Yeah, I understand that. What about you, Kyle, as far as going into the last tournament, last of the year, and you got all this, not only trying to win the tournament, but having the overall angler of the
I
year
can't hear nothing.
right there within your grasp?
He's more prepared than me. Put it that way.
Is that I don't know if we lost him or if he's still there. It looks like he froze up a little bit. Kyle, can you hear us?
I'm out. I can hear
Can you
you,
hear?
but I can now.
Okay, we're good now. What about you? Your mindset going into this final tournament with everything that's at stake?
I treat it just like any other tournament. I go into every single tournament trying to win, and
Right.
it's the same thing with this one. I really like these wintertime tournaments because I fish a ton of tournaments at home in December, so I really like it. Like I fish all the time, so I mean, it feels it's fishing similar to how it fishes at my house. I'm kind of excited about it.
I get that. So I'll just go ahead while I got you. Throw the next question to you. Definitely, I know you're not going to give us up the juice, but what are you expecting as far as the fishing goes on Murray this time of year?
I think it's going to be a grind. I think the average size is going to be pretty good. Like, I still think it's going to take 13, 14 pounds a day to get paid after 3 days. But
Right.
it's not really easy to get bites. And it seems like if you get in an area where you get multiple bites, they're typically like 2.5 pounders. So I think the guys who do the best are really going to have to grind and target those like 4+ pounders. And it's hard to generate very many of those bites in a day.
I got that. Drew, have you got your household all in there?
Oh yeah,
With you today?
we got all of them. We got Kimmy, and then
Yeah.
the three amigos on the couch.
The three amigos right there. Yeah, listen, that's a party. We should be there right there. So no pressure because you're sitting right there in front of them and all. What about you? I mean, take some of your strengths. How are you going to apply it to Murray?
I kind of agree with what Welcher said. It's going to be. I don't know. It's not really going to be. I don't know that it's going to be tough to get a bite, but it's going to be tough to catch them over 3 pounds. But there's a lot of them in here. You just gotta. I'm not gonna say get lucky, but you gotta just stay in it to, hopefully get 3 or 4 of those better than average bass 4-pounders.
All right, so I got a question from a viewer, Anthony Hampton. Are they fishing deep, shallow, or scoping? That was his question. Are they fishing deep or shallow, and are you scoping? So I'm assuming you're going to be scoping a little bit.
Everybody's scoping.
I know. If you ain't scoping, you're hoping. I got that. But in your mind, through practice so far, where are you seeing patterns start? I mean, are you having a little more success deep or shallow?
I'm having more success anywhere, closer to the bait you can get, the better. And in different regions of the lake, the bait's in completely different stages. There's some regions of the lake, the bait's in almost 50 foot. And there's some areas of the lake where the bait's in 20 a lot. So, I mean, depending on where you are on the lake is kind of what determines that. And I think that's just a water temperature and kind of a thermocline deal, So wherever you go, it changes, it seems like.
Okay. Are you seeing a lot of bait? I know we just had a tournament here on Lanier this past weekend, and a lot of guys saw it, a lot of guys didn't. It was kind of spread out depending on whether you were north or south. So, Drew, in the areas that you're fishing, I mean, are you seeing a lot of bait?
Yeah, that's the same thing. Most of the areas that I'm gonna be fishing, no, not so much on the bait. I'm gonna fish shallow, and just see what can happen.
I got you. Right, pull up Cody Campbell right there. Kyle won't quit whipping my butt on one of our local lakes. So I guess he fishes Hartwell, or where's Cody from? That's one of our viewers right there. So I don't know if you know him. I do have a question that somebody gave to me before the show. Do either of you guys have any superstitions going into a tournament?
So I don't have any like actual superstitions, but in my boat I have like 5 things that my wife has gave to me and told me they're lucky. So I just keep them because she said they're lucky,
I got you. Hey, it makes sense. What about you, Drew?
Kind of the same. I've got a coot decoy I found like however many years ago. He rides in all my boats, but if I catch him real good day one, I'm wearing the same clothes the whole tournament.
Underwear and all.
Same everything.
Hey, I don't blame you. Question for
Even
Kyle.
even whenever I have bed bugs, I wear the same damn clothes all the time. Because that happened at Pickwick.
I did it really.
Oh, Craig,
Yeah.
where are you staying at Pickwick? I don't
Yeah.
want to go there.
Bed bugs.
Some cabin that Kimmel got us, and I dealt with. I slept in the same bed, just amongst them all week. It looked like I had chicken pox.
So we're blaming that on Kimmel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. Kyle, Tony wants to know, you fishing Sunday for the winter trail? I think he
Yes.
fishes down in the areas. You are doing
Yeah.
that.
I am
So there you
fishing
go, Tony.
that one will be on West Point. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, he's a West Point guy down there and all that. Here's the next question somebody gave me. How many forward-facing sonar baits will be on the deck of your boat? Now, it may be not as many for you, Drew, because I know you just said you're thinking about going shallow, but for either one of you, how many forward-facing baits will you have ready to go?
They're
I'll
all
probably
forward-facing baits now.
I knew Drew would give that damn answer.
That's what I was thinking. Everything's forward facing.
That's right. Well, Drew, you got the peach going right now?
No, but I do have the aluminum bottles.
The aluminum bottle. Who bought the beer tonight for the house?
Anybody but Trent.
That sounds about right. That's right. Remember, when asking Kyle a question, remember he is a professional poker player. So there you go. So that was from Michael Bama Williams in the comment section like that. NPFL, the last event of the year, going into next year. Drew, you and I have talked about it. You're fishing it next year, correct? What about you, Kyle? Are you going to fish it, or are you just going to concentrate on the elites?
No, I'm planning on fishing it. Yeah.
You plan on fishing it? I was asked that. There was another YouTube channel that had asked, had mentioned that, and I said, well, I'll ask him tonight. So, going into next year, how's that going? How's that going to change the way you approach the tournaments?
I'm looking forward to it. Like that, I grew up fishing obviously without forward-facing sonar, so I think it's going to be a cool break and it's going to be a lot different. So it's going to kind of unlock some patterns and stuff that we haven't seen in like 5 or 6 years. So I'm looking forward to kind of a little bit of nuance and a little bit of different stuff to happen next year.
Gonna have the frog back in your hands?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I've had to leave him at home
Yes,
for like
sir.
a year and a half.
Okay, I got that. But now you're going to be doing both of you. Going to be doing that and the elites. Drew just kind of mentioned earlier, like hell, he's been fishing for a year. I don't think a lot of people realize the grind that goes into professional angling over the course of an entire year. A lot of people see it. This is what I want to do with my life and all that. You guys are in it all the time. Maybe talk, for somebody that's watching that might be considering, hey, I'd love to do this. The reality of it, speak to the reality of it, especially fishing 2 major tournament trails.
I have fished 19 multi-day tournaments this year.
That's
And
tough.
So that's almost 20 weeks you're gone from home. That's the worst part about this whole deal. Is that
Right. Not being home. What about you, Kyle?
I haven't fished 19, but I fished a lot, and he's definitely right. That's the worst part is the travel and being away from home. But I just love bass fishing. Like I fish all the time at home, and I want to fish tournaments because I just love doing it. So I want to fish as many as possible. Like I wish we had 20 Elite Series tournaments. Like I just want to fish tournaments. I'm lucky, and my wife travels with me most of the time, so I'm all about it. It is a grind. Like if you're a small business owner, period, like you never clock out. Like you're always thinking about something as far as getting better or sponsors or equipment. So it's literally 365 days a year. You're working towards this goal. The fishing part is the part that to me is the easy part, really.
I got you. Corey Mitchell come in with a question right here, a viewer question. I think this is a pretty good one. Do you think pros will still shake a minnow in the NPFL next year, even without forward-facing sonar?
I have honestly
Somebody
thought about
will.
practicing that and trying to get as good as possible with it, because I think those fish are still going to be there to be caught.
Right. Well, hey, okay, how about that? So you guys have gone to all these lakes using it, and now you know kind of where they're at. So you still going to maybe every once in a while target those fish, even though you can't see them? You're not? Drew, hell no. What about you, Kyle?
You know, I think somebody will probably try it, but I for sure will not. There's no shot that I'm throwing a minnow if I can't see I'm throwing that, because it's hard enough to hit them. Like if you're off by 3 feet, there's no chance they're going to bite most of the time. So like I would not even attempt it, but I'm sure some people will.
Well, let me ask you this, okay? Then what adjustment will you make? Let's say you get out over a brush pile, whereas right now you're standing away from it, casting a minnow to it or something like that. In 25 in the NPFL, you know you got a brush pile in 35 foot of water that's stacked. How are you going to fish it differently next year?
Make a lot more cast at it.
Well, okay. If you can do that without forward facing, with forward facing sonar, you only make a few casts, and now you're saying make a lot more. Well, a lot of people talk about you get one shot.
And it will. A lot of them will be burned before you ever actually get into it. You know, but with 360, you know, you'll still be better than triangulate and shit off the bank like you used to do.
Yeah, for sure. But you can do that. Did you happen to? Well, this is for Drew too, because you fished the TAA out here. We just did a Toys for Tots tournament this past weekend. 2 pounds separate. 21.53 was the winning weight. We had basically 2 pounds separate first through 18th or 19th, and only a little under, 2.9 all the way down to 23rd. But guess what the big fish was, Drew? Because I know you'll appreciate this.
7 pounds.
7.81 pound largemouth.
God, that's a big one.
Caught on there. That was the big fish for the tournament. Now, guess what it was caught on?
On a jig.
No, hell no, a 2.8 Kitech. It was on an underspin. Charlie Adams said he was around docks and he had thrown over a cable and he was bringing it back, trying to get it back over that cable. And when he popped it over the cable, by the time he could get his rod, get his line caught back up, boom, he had it on there. 2.8, and pretty close to the areas you fished when you was up here. So
there was some big ones in there. There was on them shiny spots when I was there, but
we had a ton of big spots going up there. You got any questions for the man?
I got a couple.
Throw them out there.
What's up, boys? How's it going? All right, Kyle, how do you mentally prepare for a tournament going into it? Like, what are the steps you take? Does your diet change at all? Are you still doing the same things? Like, what do you do mentally to prepare? Because I know you used to say you didn't eat bread back in the day. Like, do you still eat bread, low carb?
I've slowly relaxed off of that a little bit. I'm not near as strict as I was like my rookie year, but I still think you should absolutely not eat bread. I have a very strict kind of ritual that I stick to for every single tournament, but preparation starts as soon as the schedule's announced. Like you start thinking about it and preparing for it, and time is the constraint on all these tournaments, whether it's practice or the tournament day. Like you're playing against the clock. You're not really like that's the number one thing. So as prepared as you can possibly be going into a tournament, in practice, to go into the tournament, all that stuff, the more time you can use efficiently, the better. So I try to do as much as I possibly can before I get there. And just that makes me mentally very calm to know that I've done everything that I can do before I ever get to the lake. And I, work really, really hard during practice also. So that kind of gives me the peace of mind and keeps me kind of sane mentally to know I'm doing really all you can physically do.
Gotcha. And how does that apply? So like you're fishing a weekend derb or a Tuesday nighter. How do you prepare for that versus you would like an NPFL or an Elite Series event?
Completely different. I don't prepare for
you
those.
Just show up and fish.
I fish team tournaments on Lake Martin, and I fished Lake Martin like 6 times in the past 2 years, and every single time it's been in a tournament. Like I have not been over there at all in like 5 years except for 4 tournaments. Like I've not practiced or anything. So I don't prepare for the local tournaments at all.
What about you, Drew, on that question?
Same. Try to do as much as you can before you get here. Sometimes when you're going from one to another one, it's obviously not as good because especially if you're going from, say, a herring fishery to a non-herring fishery, it's completely different stuff. But if you can get everything together, like I'd love to rig rods for the second tournament on a 2 tournament stint, but having stuff prepared, whether it be, I mean, even just like having the map cards easy to get to. Like Kyle said, you're against the clock. You only get 2.5 days of practice, or I guess
Right.
3 in here. So the less time you waste, the better.
Okay, makes sense. So Paul, and hell, I hope I say your name. Is it Bork?
Yeah.
Paul Bork says, Kyle, poker players often have an exploitable tendencies in their game. Do professional anglers, and do you consider them in your strategy? So, like, say you're going, let's just say you and Drew are vying for this angler of the year. You know how Drew fishes. You know his tendencies, at least some. Any way to exploit them? Does that come into your strategy?
I don't really look at fishing as that type of a game. Like it's not like you're in a UFC fight or you're playing chess or even at a poker table where the guy's sitting across from me and we have like a community set of cards. It's literally like Drew will blast off and I will not see him probably all day. So like it's really just not the kind of sport where you can like pin people against. I know it's good for height, but like you kind of just can't really pin people against each other because it's not like that, So I can't really exploit his tendencies. All I can do is, alter my tendencies and maximize my potential on the water. I don't ever, think about I need to do something to hurt somebody else or exploit them. I always think about I need to do as much as I can to maximize my potential because fishing is all offensive. There's no defense in fishing at all. Like, unless you're fishing literally the exact same spot. So that's the way that I view bass fishing anyways. It's all offense. You're not exploiting someone else, to me.
Okay, I get that. Drew, I imagine you would probably answer that the exact same way.
Yeah, I'm not fishing against Kyle,
Right.
Like, you're just fishing against the fish. So it doesn't matter.
Okay. All right, well, let me ask you this. Neither one of you can say each other or anything like that, but who's the angler to beat going into this weekend? Who's the favorite?
Patrick Welcher.
I kind of figured that one. Patrick.
He already
listen.
whooped my ass here once this year and might do it again.
Just tell me he's wearing long pants.
He's got long pants on.
He's got long pants on. Got there. All right, next question is, be honest. Give me your honest opinion on Big Al, because I know he's going to be watching this later on at some point. Big Al, here's the boom.
I like Big Al.
Tell me the truth about him.
I like his enthusiasm. And he came and hung out with us at Pickwick after the tournament, after we got done weighing in at midnight. It was a good time.
Yeah, I like Big Al. Well, God, I'm kind of in jest like that because how about the NPFL brass as a whole and all that? Give me a little bit about those guys, Kyle. You can smooth
I
a little.
don't have any dirt on anybody.
Oh, I'd like to have some dirt on.
I've just been around tournaments. Yeah, I like Big Al. I've seen him on stage and I've talked to him and stuff, but like we've never hung out kind of off, after or anything like that. So I've heard some stories, but I haven't seen, that side of him yet. So I was
hoping you had some.
The NPFL staff as a whole. Yeah, the NPFL staff as a whole wears a lot of hats, and for the amount of people they have, they run a super good tournament. It's been pretty impressive.
100% agree.
Well, that's good. I appreciate you guys saying that because I like them a lot. Now, listen, I know I'm going to actually let you guys get off a little bit early because I know Big Al says Farrah Fawcett. He is watching. Did I show you my Farrah Fawcett poster that he sent me? Drew, hand me that poster right there. I'm going to let.
So hot.
Oh, she's hot. So this is the kind of presents Big Al sends us. Open that thing up right there while I'm talking to them. Pull it out right there.
I got a question for you guys, and
Look
I'm
at
sure
that.
you guys have been asked this a lot of times.
They're not going to answer yet.
So look at that.
Nice.
That's from Big Al right there.
My grandpa
He signed it.
I think I had the same.
My grandpa
Dated
has
the
the
boat.
same poster in his basement.
I dated this poster for about 3 years in high school. So.
Yeah, you got a hole in yours and it's real sticky.
Ask him that question real quick, and then I'm gonna let them go.
So you guys said something about having 2.5 days of practice, and I'm sure you've both been asked this question 100 times. How do you approach a tournament when you only have that limited amount of time to break it down and figure them out?
Damn, that's a serious question.
There's so much information on the internet now, it's not even funny. Like you can, I guess, on the electronically practice all you need. There's always maybe 3 sections of the lake that historically win more tournaments than others, and there's time of year, and there's been tournaments here around that time of year. Like you can cut a lot of dead water real quick.
Now, do you think a video of fishing Murray in June is going to help you for something like this?
It tells you where they were.
Okay.
It does. It does. All right.
I
So
think
what
if you find out where the bass spawn, where the majority of the bass spawn, that's all you'll ever need.
Okay. So, one more question. Iced up guides on your poles. How do you handle them? Do you put something on before to keep it from happening?
Dip it in the water.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I'm talking
I can't
about?
hear the question.
Like when you don't know.
So I
Please
missed the
get an answer. Fargong says, please get an answer. He lives in Oklahoma.
Go deer hunting.
I couldn't hear the question. I can hear it now.
Okay, so iced up guides. What do you do to prevent them if possible?
Ice on the guides.
Yeah. How do you keep it from happening?
You're not going to stop it from
Pam
happening.
cooking spray.
That's
Pam
what I've
cooking
heard, though.
spray.
Pam, you spray the guides with.
Pam. Hey, works for me. Listen, I know you guys got to go, so I want to thank you guys. I think Kyle, we might have lost him anyway. Drew, man, I appreciate you coming on again on short notice. I know you just on here, but thanks for taking some time with us and all that.
Absolutely.
And,
Anytime. I enjoy
hey,
it.
go kick some ass, but let Trent win. Let Trent win one.
No, he had his shot. He blew it.
All right, man. We will see you later. We'll talk to you on the other side of the tournament.
All right, y'all be good.
Good luck, boys.
All right, so we lost Kyle. We lost Kyle right there, but that's the first time Kyle's been on the show. We got to get him back. Well, he
Dude,
he talks well.
I love listening to that guy talk. I really do, man. I mean, he's got such a high IQ when it comes to fishing, in my opinion, anyways. But I just love watching his videos and listening to the guy talk.
He makes great content, and he's a cool dude too. I met Kyle back in 2020, I want to say 2020, 2021. I was back when I was working with Black Rifle Coffee Company, and he was one of the first guys we picked up just because me and Paul Bork were just watching, and we were like, I like this guy. Like, I like the way he thinks about things, and like he would just send it, and he'd have a game plan, and he'd go out hero or zero, make it happen. But he was very analytical about how he did stuff. And just like he rolled up in an unwrapped blue F-150 to the tournaments and like didn't worry about wrapping his truck. He had his boat wrapped because he had to and like made it happen. It was cool.
Pull him back up real quick since he's here.
Oh, there's Kyle.
If you can hear me now.
Bad internet. I apologize. Yeah, I can.
That's all right. I was actually just telling you goodbye, wanting to wish you the best of luck and everything. And appreciate you taking your time. This first time you've been on our show, and hopefully after this tournament, maybe give you a few weeks to decompress and all that. You can maybe come back and spend an entire evening with us. Drew's been on a couple of times now. We would love. I have guys in the comment section all the time wanting to talk to Kyle Welcher. Talk to Kyle Welcher. So if maybe after a few weeks we can get back in touch with you, maybe get you back on once you kind of rest up a little bit before the next season starts. How about that?
Yep, that'd be no problem. I think Drew was bad luck because now everything sounds fine. So everything's
it might have been.
It was all the people on the Wi-Fi. Yeah,
all the beer cans messing up the Wi-Fi.
Well, did you notice how loud that Walters and all them were?
Oh yeah, they were just hollering,
they're partying
and hollering.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's good. But again, Kyle, appreciate it, and I'm going to reach out to you maybe right after the first of the year if you don't mind.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good.
Kyle,
hey, good luck,
for you,
buddy.
man. Good luck.
Good luck.
All right, so again, at least we got to tell him goodbye. That was good.
Yeah,
that was good. So, but I would, I talked to him at ICAST, but that's of course first time we've got to talk to him. I bet you if you got that guy talking, he could go for quite a few hours.
Oh yeah, and he's very, very intelligent, and he like thinks about how he talks. Like
that's what I'm. He was very good,
very calculated.
He's still there, so I think you can tell him, remove him, or I don't know how you want to do it. Bye, Kyle.
So
yeah. So we'll do that. So you can go now. He might be froze up. I don't know about kick guest. Well, shit.
He gone. I can kick him or ban him. So
don't ban him.
Kick was better than
don't ban him. All right, so let's do this. Go ahead and let's while we've been 30 minutes in. I knew we only had a little bit of time with him, and the reason being is first of all, they've been practicing. They've been probably fishing all day. The start of the NPFL tournament is in the morning, and that's the last event of the year. And I think what it was, 2 points are separating. Drew's in the lead. You got Kyle is 2 points behind, and I think was it Isaac? Yeah. Isaac Peavy or
PB House?
PB House. He's not far behind either. So 30-something points. So I would never expect either one of these two guys to go have a really bad tournament, but technically there are a few others that are not eliminated from contention. But I think, you're going in, these are the two. And they're elite anglers as well as the NPFL anglers. But it's two of the best going at it. And I'd love to see them on a shallow water lake fishing for the because you can do a lot of different things at Murray. You can go deep, you can go shallow.
I heard there's deep grass on Murray.
I cannot confirm or deny that.
I've never been on the lake. I have to go there in May. But I'm pretty stoked to get out there to try to find some of that deep grass.
It's a cool fishery.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and pull up Fishers of Hope, guys. One of our sponsors here right now. Fishers of Hope, mission is to glorify God, be servants of his word, to bring those in need to peace and hope that only he can bring. Guys, what they do is they throw these benefit tournaments, and they're always trying to help somebody find a need. So if you want to donate, you can do that to them. If you want to go fish, you can do that to them. But if you know someone in need, that's just as important as anything else. Email them at fishersofhopeministry@gmail.com. And so give them the opportunity to help somebody. So that's a great thing they do, and we appreciate them being a part of the live one. Now, my money is on Kyle. Good idea letting them loose early. Listen, I would love to have kept them bass fishing live for 5 hours, but you got to respect what they got to do. And I'm just grateful that the powers that be at the NPFL were able to coordinate it. We could talk to them for just even a few minutes, and it did me good just to get to talk to Kyle on it, get to know his personality a little bit. So I'm looking forward to getting him back on. Far Dog, pull that up. For them guys to come on tonight's show, how much they care for us normal guys, true professionals.
For sure.
And I know Drew's been on this. That's probably Drew's third time being on. He was on there. Is that third? Am I right, Alex? Was that third time on there? And he's just one of us. And that's the first time I've talked to Kyle, and I can't wait to get him back on. So, but they got work to do. Not only are they fishing for Angler of the Year, I mean, there's $100,000 check at the end of that too. So the fact that they came on during tournament week is surprising.
The night before the tournament.
The night before the tournament. So they got to get in bed. Of course, at that house that Drew's at, he ain't going to sleep no time soon. So like that for sure. So now, hey, listen, we ain't dropping off in talent right here with our next guest right here.
You are.
Bull, we got, listen, you know what though? But Sal, you're one of us. We got Sal Pinto on, and he's been on quite a few times with us before in the past. And one thing to know about Sal is one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Number one, he can fish. The man can fish. He is a hammer, whether he wants to admit it or not. And he just recently fished the Bass Nation, I guess you want to call it National Championship.
Yes, sir.
Is that how you want to do that? Yeah. Now, while we're talking about that, let's go ahead and bring up Big Shanty Bassmasters in Georgia Bass Nation too, because the way you qualified through this was through a local club that's affiliated with Bass Nation. You fish that, you work your way up, and you have a chance. Had you won that championship, you would have got to fish in the Bassmaster Classic. Is that correct?
Yep.
Something like that?
Yep, and entry into the elites.
Into the elites.
Yep.
Really?
Yep, and then the top three actually got into the Bassmaster Classic, and then the second and third guys got to fish the opens.
Okay, so totally cool.
Yeah.
So you gonna fix that zoom? Hey, fix that zoom on Sal's camera. You know how to do that without messing it up?
No,
I don't either. So
put it back
Can
on
I
Sal.
answer Fardog about the freezing of the ice?
you can, and while you do that, we're gonna fix that camera so I
put it
can
back
get out
on
of your
Sal, I'll
shot.
fix it.
So I did a
What's
lot
wrong
of
with it?
steelhead fishing in Pulaski, New York. And we fished all winter long. I mean, we're in waders in water up to our waist. And, you know, as you could imagine, you know, the eyes are going to freeze up pretty bad. There's a store in Pulaski, New York called Fat Nancy's. They've got a web,
Nancy's Tackle Shop. I got a sticker
Dude,
on my
that
Pelican. Yeah,
that place
it's a
is
cool
awesome.
place. Yeah,
They have, I mean, it looks like lip gloss, not lip gloss, but like lip balm. It's in a round black container, and it's kind of a greasy stuff, and you go around the eyes with that. Put that stuff on the eyes. It won't stop it completely from freezing, but you'll be able to get a handful of casts, and get the ice off. Keep the ice off the eyes. Also, just dipping the rod into water too. I mean, I was on Altoona last Friday. It was cold, but you just dip the rod into water because the water isn't freezing and it's warmer, and that ice comes off instantly.
It does.
It's gonna freeze back up. I mean, it's inevitable. I mean, especially on a day like last Friday. But at the same time, it's gonna clear it out really quickly.
Gotcha.
And it's super important to have a bunch of rods rigged up. Like especially if you have a boat that has a rod locker, have a couple backups because you will break off. Like fishing on Saturday, second cast, I got my rock crawler hung up in a rock and had to break it off. And I was like, "Come on, I just bought this thing."
Yeah.
And then literally like 3 casts later, I break off another rod, and I was like, "Come on!" Like, so have some backups when things are freezing up. Like I fish in the mountains of Western North Carolina a lot when it's super, super cold. You can use chapstick on your guides. You can use real snot works on your guides. Real snot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who the hell names this stuff?
Whoever.
Real snot. I love it.
You can use Pam, like Welcher said. There's a lot of different things you can use. Some of that stuff helps. Dipping it in the water, obviously. I mean, you got a lot of options. You can get through it. But having a couple extra rods rigged up for when, like, you got to think your line's getting brittle, you got extra abrasion on there. Just be thinking about your knots, be thinking about retying some leaders and using the freshest line possible, because the last thing you want to do is break off a fish. Like we had that tournament Saturday, had a good day, and we didn't break off any fish, but we had some come off. That's for sure.
Yeah. So there's video evidence.
Yeah, we had a lot of fish come off that shouldn't have come off, but
How'd you end up doing? I didn't see the results.
We came in 15th, and the weights were so tight we were 2 pounds out of the lead.
2 pounds.
Yeah.
And so so
we had a 5.5 spot, like a big one.
Nice.
And we had 2 3-pounders that should have been cold out. I mean, we had a 4-pounder on the line 4 or 5 times that just pulled off throughout the day. So we're close.
The agony of defeat there.
Yeah, but I'm sure everybody has that story, though. I hate being that guy, but it's like everybody's got that story from Saturday. But
so what I wanted to say, Far Dog, I hope we helped you out with that a little bit. Big Shanty Bassmasters is a Bass Nation club, and so they're actually looking for members. They're the ones that helped us throw the Toys for Tots tournament, and we're going to talk about that tournament some too. But I wanted to give them a shout out, and also too, it's a great local club, and you can do the same thing. You can fish their trail, qualify for. Do you qualify straight from there to the national, or do you have to go through a regional?
So, well, yes. The answer to that is yes. But in order to even get to the regional, you have to come in the top 6 of your club.
Okay.
So the top 3 boaters and the top 3 co-anglers fish the Georgia Bass Nation State Classic.
So there's a state classic.
Yes.
Okay.
And then if you come in the top 5, well, they changed the format. Last year was the first year of this new format. It used to be you came in the top 10, you make the state team, and then you go and fish a Southern Regionals. And then you had to beat 9 guys to get to nationals.
Yeah.
And so one guy from each state would show up. You'd have 50 guys, and then I think they might have had 10 international guys. So there was people from Japan, some guys from Spain at Grand Lake, and it was funny because they're both standing there, guys from Spain. They're both standing there, and I'm like, man, do you guys know where the restroom is? Both of them had Lowrance hats on. I figured, well, they're probably with Lowrance, and they're like, huh?
Banyo.
Yeah,
I need the banyo.
Yeah, banyo. Well, there you go. I should have said that. But
you didn't know that?
There was a lot of national guys there.
That's cool.
So, but you had 60 guys in that tournament. Now they take the top 5 of the state classic, automatically go to nationals.
Yeah.
And then 6 through 15 get a free entry into the Southern Regionals.
Gotcha.
So now you got to come in the top 20 at the Southern Regionals to go to the nationals. So now instead of having 60 guys, you go and fish against 250.
I get it.
And in the regionals, they open it up. So You get the early registration if you make it
Mhm.
through the state classic, and then they open it up to other Bass Nation members. And then after that, they open it up to all Bassmaster members. So you're fishing against open guys.
Okay,
the
yeah.
elites can't fish, if I'm correct, right, Dave? I think that's right. Yeah, so the elites can't do it, but you're fishing against professionals now.
Yeah.
Which, there's two trains of, two ways of thinking of it. Well, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, right?
100%.
But and then there's the guys that just want it the old traditional way, and even the board of directors, they're not very fond of that new rule, letting the open guys in.
Really?
Yeah, they're not. That's something that they're kind of working on and talking about to try to get it back, because it was always designed for the weekend bass angler, the club members,
Right.
And that was their way of getting to that point, and being able to fish the Bassmaster Classic.
Okay.
And it's just, they made it a lot harder.
Get him closer?
Yeah, you keep turning your
Sal.
head and I can't hear you very well.
Sal,
sorry.
Sal, you've been on here enough times. Keep the mic in front of your
Yeah, there you
beautiful
go.
mouth right there, Sal.
Man, you've never told me that I had a beautiful mouth, Dan.
Well, before you keep going with that, I just want to say though, for the Big Shanty guys, they're looking for members. They're looking for members. So if you want to get into a club that has opportunities of what Sal's talking about right now, and it's going to be talking about in the future, definitely check out Big Shanty
Okay,
Bassmaster. Have we got Sal set?
Yeah,
We got him set
we
now.
got him good.
I
See
mean,
that guy, Nick Ward?
yeah.
That dude right there is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Right there, Nick Ward.
Yep.
Well, appreciate you joining us tonight, Nick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very cool. What were they biting Saturday? So I will tell you this. It was a wide variety of stuff. Clint, you
I'll
fished
talk
a
about it. I
tournament.
don't care. Yeah.
Dave, you can kind of just chime in over the back of what you were seeing if you want to.
Yeah.
But Clint, what were you catching fish on Saturday?
So I mean, we started
This
shallow.
is Lake Lanier now.
Yeah, we started shallow like everybody else. I mean, fishing up shallow, throwing a crankbait, caught a small one on a rock crawler. Nothing crazy. A lot of other people caught big ones cranking early in the morning. So I mean, you're making that long run. It's 26 degrees. You're bundled up. I had gloves on with like the mitten flips. My hands were completely warm, but it has slits in the thumbs, right, to where you can pop your little thumb out. And that was the only part of me that was cold on the whole 30-mile run down the lake. So when you get there, it's real important, that low light. And you got to think herring fisheries, that herring really doesn't get up and moving around until that sun's out. So that first hour is when those fish are pushing up shallow. Like we had to fizz fish that we were catching in less than 10 feet of water because they pulled up in the morning. So like they were, you go to put the first fish in the live well and they're doing this and you're like, okay, well, obviously that fish had just pulled up. So you have a lot of options there. Staying shallow, dragging and cranking in the morning. And then once that sun gets up and those fish get more active on bait, that's when we started to move more to your traditional ditch fishing this time of year, looking out deeper, trying to find them because they were glued. I mean, they were glued to the bottom. We didn't see a whole lot of suspended fish. I did catch one suspended one on a jig of all things. Like I was waiting on it to follow it down. And I was like, my jig didn't go any farther down, and cracked him. And it was one of our biggest fishes, a 4-pound spot. So, you can catch them on a jig throughout the day, dragging, jig, shake on a worm, all kinds of stuff. But I mean, stay simple. I think that was the biggest thing is fishing with. I've been fishing a lot of local tournaments by myself, so I've had 15 rods out.
Yeah.
So I'll have like 5 and 5, and then I'll have an extra 5 in the co-angler spot, just cycling through things. But going in with a partner, I was like, okay, Eddie, I'm going to put all my rods on one side. The complete left side of the deck was completely open. So we kind of simplified things down a little bit. So it is important to simplify things out and change out rods. So like after that first couple hours was over, I was putting the cranking rods and stuff away because I was transitioning over to that more deeper style of fishing. So being able to kind of cycle through your rods, but also keep it simple. So, I mean, crawling a small swim bait in the ditches is another good way to get bit. Jig and spoon, things like that. Like
Did you catch
stuff
any,
on the bottom.
Did you catch any ditch fish?
Yeah, I mean, we cold. So we had 12 pounds at noon, and then all of a sudden cold up to our 19 in the ditches and stuff. So we found a couple that had had some fish, and there was some striper mixed in with them. So that's one thing to look out for. Just because you catch a striper doesn't mean that there's not spots around. So they weren't really relating to bait. They're just kind of glued to the bottom in the ditches. And once you kind of got them fired up, we went to put one fish in the live well, and it coughed up 7 little thread fins. So, I mean, they're still eating bait out there. It's just a matter of when are you hitting them in the ditch? Are they transitioning from that shallower morning stuff to out in the ditches? Like, what are they relating to? It's kind of just that hard contour. You're kind of on live scope. You can really see the bottom contour. And so you're looking for the brightest return, right? You want to find those hard spots that those fish will relate to. And then really going, like trying to move around as much as we can. I mean, we burned a lot of gas just bouncing from ditch to ditch, spot to spot, because when you have to make that run from so far up the lake, you're worried about gas. You're like, you want to make sure you get back and all that stuff. And so being able to cover as much water as possible, but also pick a couple creeks, pick a couple areas, because the fish are all over the lake everywhere. Like, the thing that blew my mind about Lanier when I moved down here was everywhere you drop the trolling motor, you're seeing fish. It's just finding the active fish. And guys will tell you, like, it's not a matter of like, you're not fishing the right spot. It's a matter of you're not fishing the most aggressive fish that you could be fishing for. Like, if you're not getting bites, you need to move. So that's one of the biggest things.
I will tell you that the big fish for the tournament was a 7.81 largemouth. And if you heard me, if you were on with, I was talking to Drew, I mentioned that to him because he fished the TAA, and there was a lot of largemouth caught, but that was in the spring. That was during the spawn. And of course, he was amazed at the amount of largemouth. But yeah, I knew somebody would catch a largemouth. I didn't expect the 7.81, in December on Lanier, but that was caught on a 2.8 Kitech on a spot choker head with it might have been a light hitch or something like that. It was a very lighter colored, whitish Kitech, and I did not expect that. So,
did you hear about the largemouth that was caught in the ABA AFT a couple months ago?
No.
It was on a topwater bait, and Brett Matthews, if you're still out there listening, I believe it was an 892, an 892, something like that.
That's awesome.
But Dalton caught it.
Dalton Tankersley.
Yeah,
I'd have a heart attack and wouldn't be able to weigh that fish in. I'd be so excited.
Yeah.
I'd probably fall off the boat. Something bad would happen.
What's crazy when you get to a big fish like that, especially on Lanier, when you're not thinking about an 8 or almost 9 pound largemouth, is like when you get the bite and it's big, like you're still fighting it like you would a 3 or 4 or 5 pounder. Like you're not expecting it. Like sometimes it's not till a fish hits the net or the deck of the boat till you're like, oh my God. Yeah. Like, because I feel like if you see it and it's an almost 9 pounder, it's a lot different of a fight than when it hits the net and you're like, oh God, it's a 9 pounder.
That's
because
right.
You can really freak out. Like a lot of these guys that catch big fish out in Texas, like Brett Cannon, Ben Milliken, Josh Jones, these guys, like they are so dead calm when they're fighting these absolute trophy fish. And like, you have to maintain that calm, like, cause the second you start freaking out and going, stay on there, like that's when those fish come off. So you have to be careful about how you treat a fish. Like you want to treat catching a 2 pounder almost the same as you would a giant, by like keep calm, keep them pinned, because like, I mean, I shouldn't be talking about keeping them pinned because I did not on Saturday, but
hey,
I mean,
but it happens.
But
has
yeah, and it wasn't a calm factor. It was just bad luck. But at the end of the day, you have to treat those fish like, get them in the boat, stay calm, like do what you can, because like I'm bad about rushing to get that fish in the boat. And sometimes you can't just wind them in, but like sometimes you can. Like I mean, a boat flipped at 8.5, my biggest fish I've ever caught 2 weeks ago, by just cranking it in and boat flipping an 8 pounder. And I was like, Jesus Christ. Like,
yeah.
It's crazy how you can treat those different fish.
I kind of refer to like keeping them happy. If they want to swim sideways and they want to take you all the way around the boat, let them take you all the way around the boat. Because as soon as you try to get them to go a different direction, they're going to come up and they're going to spit it.
Yeah,
right in front of you. Keep them happy. They're pissed off. Let's be honest. They're not happy. They got a hook in their mouth. But keep them happy. Just as long as they're not doing any crazy movements, I'll go around the boat 2-3 times when I have to.
And maintaining that pressure is very important too.
Yeah.
I know when I was fishing a lake. I was filming a couple years ago, and Kaz Anderson was out there, and he skips up with 12-pound test in a jig and has the luckiest, like gets this fish up over the big cross beams under the dock and everything. And he said he fought it around the boat 3 times, but he maintained that pressure, keeping that fish all the way around the boat. It was 11-7. It was a giant, like his biggest fish Kaz has ever caught. And he was like, dude, I just maintained pressure, fought him around the boat, and he's by himself and netted it and everything. Yep. But it's like, you have to keep that momentum going. I had my buddy Ian Freeman. We were up on a little mountain lake in North Carolina, and he was slow rolling a HUD and gets bit, and his reel like slips off, and he just runs to the back of the boat. And so like maintaining that pressure while he fixes his reel, gets his reel back on there and everything, and like fights the fish around the boat, and we finally get it in the net. But it's like, if you didn't maintain that pressure, like if he stayed on the front deck with his reel off and lost that pressure on just a jig hook, like you're going to lose that fish. So maintaining that pressure is huge, whether it's a 2-pound spot or a 9-pound large spot.
I agree with you. I want to say a special shout out there that I hope I say this right. Tona Kavox, does that sound right?
Yeah.
Y'all know I murder everything, but chiming in from South Florida, and I'm praying I get the fish
Her
on there.
PB is bigger than mine. I like it.
I tell you, hey, we hope you get the fish on there. And Dylan Atkins says I should build a Fish North Georgia mega boat ramp around Mid-Lake.
Yeah, let's make a Fish North Georgia lodge on Lanier.
No, Sonar Pros needs to give me about $100,000 a year in sponsorship money. I want to do that because I just did that because he's listening right there. Heading to Lanier Thursday with my son. It will be our first time. Thanks for the info.
For sure. Have fun.
Keep it simple. If nothing else, you could put a shaky head on and get bit right now.
Shaky head and a jig. That's all you need.
Yeah, pull up Trent since he's watching out there. That's why I said that. But some of the biggest largemouth on Lanier live in timber during the summer and move up during the fall transition, in his honest opinion. That's why you see big largies in October, December, and not as prevalent in the summer. I will tell you that big largemouth was caught on the back of a dock, back corner of a dock on the north side of the lake. He had thrown, like I said earlier, he had thrown over the cable, had reeled up, popped his underspin just on the other side of the cable, and by the time he could catch up with it, boom, it had gone right there. So let's see. Chat, y'all live? Yeah, we're live. Yeah, we're live, Tony, like that.
Tana.
Like Donna with a T. Tana.
Tana.
Well, Tana, thanks. Thanks for joining us out there. February here is when the big girls come around. So I don't let them run. I try to keep them down and get them in. Now, I fished with Kaz on Notley. It was during the summertime, and he had skipped a jig up under a dock, and he was actually reeling it out. Well, as he reeled it out, here comes this shadow right behind it. He killed it. It slammed it. Becky showed up. But he was exactly what you described right there, is exactly what we were doing it live on the channel. And he just, and he goes around the boat. He just kept that
all
pressure.
day. That's a big
all day. I got all day. So, Eric B. Richards, just don't lose your chip. I've got the chip of shame. He lost his chip. They gave out a poker chip that had your boat number. Uh-huh. It wasn't like an hour in. Eric's like, hits me up. What happens if you lose your chip? So I got him to make a chip, and during the live thing, I was going to make him do the walk of shame to come get his chip so the camera could pick it up, but they found it. It was in his pocket. So, but yeah, Jeremiah, I picked up an 8-pounder on Lanier this year as well. Most people don't believe largemouth that size are there, but I've seen dozens over 6. No, there's big largemouth in Lanier.
Yep.
There's huge largemouth in Lanier, but people, it's a spotted bass heaven. So,
and I feel like we've been seeing more largemouth out of Lanier the past few years.
Well,
too.
you remember Trent said that they're down in the timber. We've seen a lot more largemouth being caught out there
for sure,
with guys scoping for spots and everything. They're there.
Yeah.
But that's just not what, if a guy's going to target largemouth on Lanier, that's not what he was thinking. Going into that tournament, and Sal, you might can speak to this. Largemouth on Lanier, the prevailing thought, up the rivers north. Even this time of year, it's more largemouthy up there.
Where
so
Kevin was today.
Well, you kind of understand what I'm saying. So, like, if you were fishing that tournament, we blasted out of Laurel Park, as far north as you can get. A lot of guys never even made that run past down below Gainesville. They stayed north all day, and I believe the winning team did that. So, your mindset, hey, I want to just go for largemouth on there. Is that what you would do?
Honestly, I'm making that run. I'm going south. I mean, honestly, I don't. I was upset I didn't get to fish that tournament. I was on call this weekend.
Yeah. I believe you.
But I mean, I would definitely have gone in the Wahoo. There's no question about it. But I think I would have waited, till later in the day.
Yeah.
On my way back, maybe, just leaving myself a couple hours to go up there. There's some big uns.
Big largemouth
in the Wahoo.
So like you've traveled around
out there. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
So you've traveled
What a Wahoo,
yeah.
largemouth.
Yeah. So you've traveled around and fished a bunch. Like what is one of the biggest things you've learned by being able to travel around and fish? Like what's one of the biggest tips you can give somebody who hasn't traveled around? They've only fished their local places. Like what's one of the biggest things you've learned that could save some people some time?
I would say watching the Live Well podcast because of the
For
abundant
sure.
amount of information given by people like Sal. I just had to plug that in right there.
Man, I mean, I'm still relatively new in all this, and I know you guys have heard me say that before, but it's the truth. I've said this so many times on this show, and I don't want to sound just go fishing. Follow your gut and go fishing. When I go to a brand new lake, I will try to find like these sneaky spots. And it's hard these days because there is so much information out there. The mapping is good no matter what you have,
Right.
But having those niche spots, I'll try to find some around the boat ramp that we're putting in. I'll try to find some of those spots closer to the boat ramp so I can hit those on the way back. And that played dividends for me on Hartwell 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago. And I'll use that first day of practice to run around and try to find those spots. Local knowledge is usually off limits by the time you get there, but
Right.
You can always find some local knowledge online, like Drew was saying, you have so much access to so much information. And just try to, Grand Lake, one of the things that they talk about a lot is release fish. There's not a lot of big boat ramps, so they all go out of Wolf Creek. All the big tournaments go out of Wolf Creek.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are coming out of Wolf Creek, on the right-hand side, it's really shallow. And then on the left-hand side, it kind of transitions from shallow docks to deeper docks towards the mouth. And I can't tell you the amount of boats that fish those docks later in the day because everybody hit them. I mean, if there wasn't 20 boats on those docks towards the end of the day, there was 30 boats on those docks
Right.
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And one of the things that happened to me where I feel like I might have fouled a little bit is I was very skeptical about fishing behind people. But Grand Lake fished really small. And, no matter where you went to, you were fishing behind somebody, around somebody. Thank you, by the way.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, intimidating because we don't really get a lot of that here. It gets busy on Lanier, but you can always find a pocket where there's fish and nobody around you.
Right. Yeah.
Lanier fish is big. It'll swallow up 300 boats pretty easily.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah, you'll see them, you'll be around them, but you have room to fish.
Yeah.
It was tough fishing 250 boats and on that lake. I mean, you were fishing in front and behind people all day long, and it did not matter.
I got you.
So I mean, that would be my thing, is just try to find those niche spots initially on day one of practice, and then just go from there. But you know me, dude. I mean, I have a hard time patterning, finding that specific pattern.
Yeah.
I just fish from the gut.
He fished the Bass Nation National Championship, and he goes, I have a hard time figuring this shit. So anyway, I'm gonna get to Dylan's question. Tona is really jamming up in the Tana. Damn it, Tana is really jamming up right there in the comments section. So hey, love that. But we're gonna get back to Dylan's question up a few. I didn't tell you the answer to the question of the week, but I think you'll know it pretty quick when you see it. All right, so the Serve IT question of the week, yeah, that's where we're going to start. We're going to go back to Dylan. Let's go ahead and let's talk about Serve IT real quick. And, of course, we appreciate them for sponsoring the question of the night. Serve IT is a local IT technology and managed service company. If you own a company and you need a complete IT solution for your business, Serve IT is it. And they got a huge emphasis on customer service. And again, I always tell you about Alan and the guys. They got their act together, and it is one of the most impressive things I've ever seen with my eyes walking into a company and how they've got it laid out and the way they do that. So if you have a company that needs that, work for a company that you think, hey, we might need this, check out Serve IT. And also, they're always looking for bright-minded individuals, whether you have experience in IT or not. If you've got that it factor, Serve IT wants to talk to you. Hey, listen, they can train you. They can train you to do that. It might be a life-changing career for you, but you got to be a go-getter and you got to have customer service, those abilities to talk to the customer in the right way and to make sure you, from start to finish, get them squared away with that. So appreciate Serve IT. And so here's the question of the night, really quick, very easy. Toys for Tots tournament. Give me the name of the 2 anglers that won first place. Give me their total weight, and give me the weight of that big fish. Give me the weight of that big fish. So the 2 anglers that came in first place this Saturday's Toys for Tots, the total weight that they had, and also big fish. So go ahead and scroll on back down there to the bottom, and we'll come back up to Dylan because I got a feeling somebody's going to do this pretty quick, or they should. They might have to Google it a little bit. They might have to pull up the results. So we'll do that. So Dylan was talking about, and you can keep it on down there, Alex, while we're watching. But Dylan Akins was talking about if the Lake Lanier record largemouth were to be caught, where do you think it would be caught on Lake Lanier? So here's my guess. Just because of talking to guys and seeing them talk about big bass, largemouth, I honestly think a marina. I would guess a marina. And yes, it was a 5-bag limit, Tana. What do you think there? I mean, both of you fish Lanier a lot. If you were going for the record largemouth on Lanier, where do you think it would come? I'm going to guess a marina. Plenty of bait, plenty of cover.
Yeah. I think that's good. I would say marina on the south end.
You'd go south in the marina, though.
Just because of the abundance of bait, the abundance of fish, like they're down there.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Boom, Dylan. I knew it wouldn't take somebody too long. So Dylan Akins, Mr. College Bassmaster Classic champ right there, wins. So I'm going to send you a couple of Fritz sides there for playing tonight. So appreciate you, Dylan. And listen, we're Leah, you're close. You're close, but you got to have a lot more to that. But you got beat by Dylan. So we'll send you that. Dylan, send me your address. Hit me on. You can text me or send me it on Messenger. Like that.
I
So,
agree with
hey,
Eric.
Huh?
I agree with Eric.
What's
Yeah,
Eric say?
It's going to come out of
Baldridge.
Yeah, I was going to say
Yeah.
the marina in Baldridge. I mean, if we're
Oh.
going marinas, why not Baldridge?
Dude, listen, it was Baldridge is dumb, especially in January. Electric only tournaments go out of there. I saw some weights. 20-pound, 20-plus pound bags in an electric tournament. And Eric kind of mentioned that when you fish an electric tournament on Lanier, you can't run and gun. You got to break down and fish the whole area. You got to fish your strengths and all that. But Baldridge would be a good one. What do you think? Baldridge, Dave, somewhere in there? Ken? Port Royale, but
Yeah,
a
that's a good
marina.
spot.
I mean, I think with that, because number one, it concentrates bait,
A lot of cover.
a lot of cover. You can go deep or shallow.
You got to think of what goes on in a marina. You got a bunch of people. You got people throwing pizza crusts and
Yeah,
their hickory honey ham off the dock. Like, they're fattening up. And the amount. So what does that attract? That attracts the bait. That attracts the bluegill. That attracts the crappie, the perch, all the bait fish
all your bait.
that you can think of. And so that being around a marina, I mean, it makes sense. And they have cover that they don't have to go super deep to be in. So like no matter what time of year it is, they can post up in that cover and be sitting over 100 foot of water, but they can be sitting in 2 foot.
Yeah,
under a
I mean,
pontoon.
I just think all those things, it would have to come. Now, what will happen is somebody's going to catch it on a log in 3 foot of water up a creek somewhere. It won't be. But if I were guessing, I don't think you can go wrong with the marina. And listen, guys, if we missed your question, put it again. Because Tana's really nailing it up right there tonight. We need to be in South Florida. What's going on down there? So
she
chum
said
that
to
water.
come fish Okeechobee. That's a cool place.
And Brett Matthews, I caught my PB on the Big O in Okeechobee.
Nice.
So I've never fished Okeechobee.
Yeah, Okeechobee's cool. I got a buddy who just started guiding down there. A little plug to Ethan Sights out there. He's been just moved down there to start guiding, and so he's been doing some guide trips and stuff. So that's somebody to hit up. If you're down
Holiday
there.
Marina.
Yeah,
That's
Holiday.
another good. So, but again, a marina.
Yeah.
And that's it. Specs. Listen,
Specs. That's a Florida term
thing.
right there.
Florida thinks specs. And then if you get in down in Louisiana, they're Sockeye,
yeah.
and they're crappie in Georgia, and they're crappie everywhere else. So we're the only ones that said that. What's this about Ben Milliken winning $1 million team tournament? Anyone know? I have no idea. Haven't heard of that.
No, I don't follow. I used to watch his stuff, but I don't know. I don't watch his stuff very much anymore.
Well, why, Sal? Is there a reason? Come on, you can tell us.
No, not really.
Did you just get bored of it?
Yeah. I mean, he's in Texas. He's catching big fish. He's good at it, But I just, there's so many guys out there now. I like watching Scott Martin. He's very entertaining. Like his practice blogs before a tournament.
Yeah.
With Matt Airy and,
Canterbury,
and
right?
Scott Canterbury. I mean, they're pretty funny, man. I enjoy watching them.
Right. Oh,
enjoy
listen, I can watch Scott Martin. Yeah. There's a lot of fishing videos, and some pros, some just guys like us that it's unwatchable. To keep your attention for the full, Scott's got that it. Whether you like him or not, he's got that it factor. Yeah. So I get that too. I think they're referring to the Bass Pro Shop tournament he fished last year but didn't win it. And I'm the guy who don't care for Milliken. Well, I don't know Ben. He may be an absolutely fantastic guy. Jeremiah's going down there for the greatest fish God ever made, tarpon. Hey, I get it right now. That's in South Florida. So that could be something. Do you watch – how about this on YouTube? You mentioned that you don't Dylan, let's see. I think the biggest fish in every lake live under the DNR dock because no one's allowed to fish them. Probably. I get that 100%. I'm going to do a video this coming up either this week or next. I came across another podcast and they had a study. Texas Park and Wildlife put it on. And from 2022 to 2023, they were tracking the difference between angler catch rate of those that use sonar or forward facing and those that did not. It's been kind of talked about. I did that video on Randy Blockett. They found, and I'll have all the stats in it, but they found that guys using forward facing sonar only average about one more fish per day than guys who don't use forward facing sonar. And this is Texas Park. This is their study. This ain't Joe Blow down the street. Mm-hmm. I got to figure out how all they did. I want to get all the information before I make a video. But I thought that was one of the more surprising things I saw. And that was on YouTube. And I can watch those kind of things. Yeah. Some of the other stuff's just unwatchable.
You know who I like watching? Is it Jonna Fishing? Jono. He fishes Wadawi a lot. He fishes Logan Martin a lot. I really like watching him. I mean, it doesn't really say a lot. He's just fishing. And but he at the end of the day, he's not afraid to show you his bait. He doesn't blur out the backgrounds.
I hate that.
I blurred out the backgrounds.
You Clint, don't. No, man. No, well, you can't.
You got to think in the wintertime, those fish stay there for months. And it's like, why am I going to blow up a spot when I know those fish are going to be there for if I got another tournament?
Why not just take the fish and turn your boat around a little bit or something?
Well, because what if you're trying to post a sweet hook set that's got obvious stuff in the background, so I intentionally blur it out, and then people give me crap in the comments.
Oh man, I'm gonna crap on you about that.
That's fine.
But I know what you mean. Well, it happens a lot on the electric only world.
Yeah,
though.
I'll tell you what I caught them on though.
Yeah, but there are guys that make videos, and you kind of know what they're throwing, but they won't tell you exactly. And like,
Well, I
a
mean,
few
think
of my
about
buddies
the
of
the
mine.
standard Patrick Walters move of shoulder turn to unhook the fish,
Yeah, he
flick
does.
that bait in the water, and
Yeah.
then show you the fish.
got to blur some of the backgrounds, especially on small lakes. And I get that. I get that. Smaller lakes
Took yak back to the crap holes.
took yak back to the
I
crap holes.
definitely did. No, I did not.
You did not do that.
No.
So I
I took them to the juice, and they were not biting.
They were not biting the juice. What amazes me is the regulations in the Gulf of Mexico between the states. I don't get to fish that as often as I would like, but I do understand that. And even with the water wars here in Georgia back in the day, that's why, with all the problems of the Chattahoochee here turns into the Apalachicola, and that feeds, the oystery down there and all that. So Florida, Alabama, and Georgia were all going at it. Ken Smith Fishing on YouTube has the tracking data from Texas parks on Toledo Bend. Mind blowing how far they swim back home. Now, I've seen that. Have you ever seen anything like that?
What, the fish when you release them at a boat ramp?
Say you catch a fish down on, we always talk about this. You catch a fish on the south side of Lanier.
Yeah.
You drive them all the way up the Laurel and you let them go.
We talked about that
Yeah.
one episode when I was here.
Yeah, how far they do go back. They've got some that they put the transponders, that's
Yeah.
the right way. Some of them fish go all the way back
Are
home.
you kidding me?
I'm not lying.
It's wild.
They will go miles and miles back. Now, they ain't doing it in a week.
No.
They're like, shit, I got to go home. But they eventually work their way back,
That's amazing.
especially, and it might not be this study, but I've seen another one, especially big females.
That's amazing.
Big female, you know how we males are. We're lazy as hell. We'll shack up with the first one we can come up to and just hang around there. Here, good food. I ain't got to do no work.
New piece.
Big females, some, not all, will make that trick.
That's
trick.
amazing.
All the way
What's
back up.
interesting is it's not just largemouth. I mean, it's so I film a tournament every year called the Manhattan Cup. A guy named Frank Crescatelli hosts it, and it's a big striper tournament up in Manhattan, New York, in the Hudson River. And so what they do in that tournament is they tag a bunch of their big striper and track the data, get the data to see where these fish go and all that stuff. And like you'll have fish in the Hudson swim all the way up the coast. They'll be all the way up in Maine, and then they'll come back and be in the Hudson for that tournament the following year, which is crazy. Like you can track and see where all they go.
And those stripers in the Hudson will go all the way up to the Troy Dam, which is like a 140-mile run.
Yeah.
They will go up to the Troy Dam and spawn up there and then head back down into saltwater.
You remind me every episode you come on that you're a Yankee. I always forget, babe.
Yeah. So where are you from? I don't even know.
Here we go. Come here.
Utica, New York. Well, Whitesboro,
Okay.
New York.
Okay.
He's my favorite Yankee, but he's a Southern boy in my mind. And then
Yeah.
he comes
I'm
on.
a
and-
redneck up there, man.
But that's the thing about New York. Like in
Yeah.
2020 was the first time I ever went to the state of New York. And I went to film the Manhattan Cup, and I was in Manhattan, New York, and I was like, I don't know if I really like this place. And then a month later, I went up to Champlain and then went to the St. Lawrence River, and I was like, these guys are completely different. I was like, the people, the environment, the country was completely different. The
Northern
food,
Michigan, same thing.
yeah.
Same thing.
Dude, you are talking my
Look at
happy
that.
place,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
When you start talking around the St. Lawrence River.
Oh
dude.
yeah, it's beautiful.
Look at his eyes light. Look at his eyes light.
Oh, yeah.
Look at
You
that.
have no idea how.
I think we got some movement down there.
Man,
You're so happy.
you know,
Movement in the
I'll tell
lumber
you-
yard, son.
I'm getting a little antsy in my seat talk about that place. Let me
He's got to
tell you.
put his sweatshirt in his
you
lap.
mind if I come over to you a little bit?
Yeah,
Sal's
buddy.
getting excited.
I'm telling you what, dude, that river's special.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah,
It's
the
on my
weights,
bucket list.
special.
the weights, the fish that it's been putting out this year. I mean, Kyle Patrick caught that 8.5 in practice, big smallmouth,
Good.
and then
Lord.
Dante Pirano caught that 9-pounder in a tournament. It was New York State record.
Cayuga
Yeah.
Lake, which is one of the Finger Lakes, and it's the wackiest thing. I've talked to buddies back home about it, and they're just shaking their head. Now, I got a friend of mine back home. His name is Josh Eichner. Just think the world of this guy, and unofficially probably the best fisherman I know, hands down. He will go anywheres and he will catch them. He has specific waypoints on Lake Ontario, and he will fish them a certain time of year for that state record. He's going to have a hard time getting to 9 pounds, but he's caught a few 8-pounders.
Good
And have
Lord.
been ounces away from the state record. And
Wow.
he and his buddy go up there, and they've got waypoints. They got rock veins, or I don't know what they're fishing up there, but specifically in November, if they can get out there, they will go out and target a state record smallmouth on Lake Ontario.
Hey, listen, I think it'd be awesome.
Dude,
I'd love to do that.
That place is something else, man.
Oh, Lord, look at Joshua go. All right, listen, I'm the kid that sticks his hands on the hot stove every so often. So I'm gonna bite on this, Joshua. What's the difference between a Yankee and a bucket of crap?
I'm going to just go with the answer to nothing.
Nothing.
Right?
I don't know. You have to give us the answer.
I'm not calling myself out, but I hear all my Yankee jokes down here.
But you eat grits, right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So that's all. That's the bucket. That's the only difference is the bucket.
The bucket.
Good Lord. But listen, Sal will tell you, because I tease him all the time. He's one of my favorite people. But one of the first things it was like, do you eat grits? That's how I determine whether if you come from and anything north of Dahlonega, Georgia, you're a Yankee to me. Anyway, Tennessee, Yankees. It don't matter. But you said, "Oh yeah, I eat grits," and then I was like, "You're good in my book." That's all.
Yeah, man.
Got to eat that.
Grits.
Don't bring me that. What is that porridge crap, y'all? That you don't eat that. Yeah, it's like porridge. What the hell's it called? Cream of wheat. Who the hell eats cream of wheat?
Not me.
Not us.
Have you ever eaten cream of wheat in your life?
No.
I don't even know what it is.
No.
Other than I guess it's wheat.
Yeah, I have no idea what it is.
You don't know.
Do you eat liver mush?
I do.
Hell
I
no.
do too.
I've had pickle liver.
I eat that.
Okay.
I eat everything.
But liver mush, like it's like a sausage. You'll cut it up, fry it up in the pan. You ever had that?
No, I've never had that.
I love liver. Brunchwagon. Give me that and a saltine and the onion. Oh, my wife ain't going to kiss me for a month and a half, but I will eat that till I puke right there. Cheese grits. Hell yeah, Kevin. Right there. So Dylan Aikens Fishing. Did you see the new Humminbird Explorer unit? Thing looks pretty sweet. I did watch the thing. I think it's not really coming out until January, right?
Yeah. And they filmed it on Lanier, which is pretty cool.
I saw it. Did you see it?
No, I've seen the new the
Mega.
Mega.
So they got the Mega 2, but the thing, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm laughing at some of the comments right there because we got to talk about Yankees. Mason wants to know what kind of Yankees you guys are associated with.
What's up, dude?
Listen, now, I'm telling you, if you're north of Dahlonega, Georgia, you're a Yankee to me.
Mason's a Yankee. He's from Michigan.
Is he from Michigan?
Yeah.
Now, I love northern Michigan. If I was single and didn't have any family attachment to North Georgia, at least for 6 or 7 months of the year, I could live in northern Michigan. It's just like North Georgia, except not quite as hilly. Anything you do in
it's beautiful too.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
pretty up there.
Yeah, it's the women are a little thick up there, but other than that,
The deer are a lot
I
bigger
call
too.
them hefty.
hefty.
Yeah. No, sturdy.
Not that I was looking
sturdy.
at
I call them sturdy.
Not that I was looking at the women while I was up there. I just noticed they were all kind of
Sturdy.
Anyway, so I will say this about sturdy, Becky. So this is what I was thinking about that Explorer unit. Now with that new Mega 2 that's coming out, the Explorer unit is actually going to phase out the Helix. If I'm not mistaken, is that right? So the Helix.
I don't know.
Okay.
So the she ain't a lady unless she 280.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. Just give it the best 8 seconds of your life like a bull. Get up and just woo.
That's it.
That's all you can do.
Man.
So we eat pear preserves. There you go. But if I'm not mistaken, that Explorer unit, the interface and all that, again, way over my head, and I can't talk about all that, but supposed to be easier to use, more integrated stuff. But I think that Mega 2, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know that it works with the Helix, does it? Us Midwest women are thick.
2 C's.
2 C's. Thick. My wife's going to kill me, so I got to stop while I got a life like that. So I'm serious. You know what will happen? I'll make a comment right there. This is what my wife will just be laying in her bed. I just, let's see what Danny's doing. It'll be right when I go, oh, yeah, the Midwest women. Woo, they're thick. And that was all. That would be the entire thing she sees.
That's all she needs to see.
That's all she needs to see.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm going to go home, and normally she's asleep, and the bedroom light's going to be on. And I'm going to be like, oh, shit. She heard it. She knew. I knew exactly. So anyway, I love my wife, Amanda. I love you. So, but does the Helix, Ken, do you know, does the new Mega 2 work on the Helix?
I don't think so.
Gotta
They
have
said
the
it does
Explorer.
not.
Okay. So, okay.
So let me ask you this then. And this is my problem with Humminbird. If Gerald Swindle had, and this came from Lanier Jim, he said that Gerald Swindle had his boat set up with Solix, and he was so disappointed with it he made Hummingbird put the helix back on his boat because
It's two different processors,
right?
Ultimately,
but he didn't like the way the Solix was, or if the touchscreen didn't work, or it wasn't touchscreen, or just how it just functions. If that was the case, like why even put something out that doesn't work with both styles of processors, the Helix and the Solix? Why do that?
It's just a matter of product matching, and then you're hitting a different demographic, right? So like if you have a Solix unit that's a premium unit, you're going to have more bells and whistles, right? So what comes with more bells and whistles, you're going to have more problems. Ultimately, at the end of the day, when everything works great, it's great. But when it doesn't, it's like you're turning it off, turning it back on. Like the amount of buddies I have that have Hummingbird units and things like that have struggled with them is a matter of like software issues and things, just like the processor not processing fast enough, mapping, etc. And Hummingbird's gotten a lot better about fixing those things. But like when it came to the more simple Helix, the reason a lot of people switched back to those is because it was a lot simpler of a processor. It was a lot simpler of things going on. You had a keypad, all that stuff. Like there was less room for things to go wrong. It's almost like comparing a Fortrex versus an Ultrex. You could have, oh God,
shit. Hey,
What's
Tatum.
going on?
Hey, Daddy. Hey, Tatum, baby. I love you. Tell your mama I love her. Like that.
You're being watched. You never know who's in the
You
room.
never know who's watching
Yeah.
me. That's what I'm saying. I'm living on the edge every second of every day. That's the way I am. But Derek O talks about too. There's no black box too.
Yeah, that's the
Not
one.
with that. Yeah, so no black box. One has the CPU power to process it. One doesn't.
Lowrance has something like that now too, the Eagle Eye or something like that.
They have that like
It's-
cheaper version that's smaller.
Yes, they're streamlined,
Their
yeah.
streamlined version that has it. I saw something like that.
It's like $1,000.
Yeah, Shop Life says, yeah, my Solix touchscreen quit working. I downloaded the update and poof, works again. I will tell you this: I had Mega Live, and I had a couple of Helixes, and I have the 360. I sold my Mega Live. I could never get that dang thing. I'd had the new update on the thing. Could never get it to work the way I wanted it to work.
Did you get LJ on it?
No,
The
he wasn't
guys
talking to me at that time.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
LJ, if you're watching, I'm getting. But no, seriously, I didn't like it, and I wanted to go to the Garmin, so I sold it to a buddy of mine, and then he had it. He says I can get it working, and he worked with it. He could never get it working right. Problem is, it was given to me by Hummingbird, so I really didn't like. I couldn't warranty. It was kind of, you know what I'm saying.
You
I
want to know
didn't buy
something?
it.
You giving something for nothing. Why not?
I'm not fussy.
And you have to think about the timing, right? So like we're talking about products that is within the past few years. So what happened in the past few years? We had COVID back in 2020. A lot of production was changed then. You had not only boat brands, motors, everything in the fishing industry. The production line got shaken up. And so, like, I mean, did you get a bad unit? Was it one made in 2020? Was it made in 2021? Like, what was the factors leading to you having those problems? Because like it's probably not on the company. I mean, you have a company of 5 people and 3 of them quit working. You're not going to be putting out the same product you were. So like that's on a much smaller scale, obviously, but thinking about it on a large scale like that, you could have one guy get a bad, and that's the thing with the industry now is you have social media, you have all these resources to look at. And so like, it's really a process of elimination because like you have one buddy that says he had a problem with a unit. You're not going to go buy it. You're like, hey, my buddy had this problem. And so like, you're going with the road less traveled of whichever one had the least amount of problems.
Yeah, I get that. I love the 360.
Yeah.
That 360 is my favorite.
You never had any problems with it.
The 360?
Yeah.
It doesn't work great in deep water, but I mean, you get 20 foot and up.
But I mean, you can have a lot of the problems of 360 out of water. It'll tell you 360 is out of the water when it's obviously in the water. And you'll have to put a penny on it. I know I had a buddy who had to put like a penny on his graph and tape it on there just for some type of conduction. I mean, Trent Palmer would know more about this in the comments, but I mean, there's all kinds of different little nuances to getting those things dialed in to where, I mean, you have software issues. You're thinking about water, you're thinking about connections, batteries, having clean power. Like there's so many variables in it.
And I probably didn't have the right power. I mean, I'm sure there's some of it was on my side, 100%. But I sold a 66 Mustang because I couldn't keep the carburetor working instead of just buying a new damn carburetor. I'm just that guy. I don't.
Would you like to have that 66 back?
That was the PDC car.
PDC.
PDC. You don't know what PDC means?
No, sir.
I don't know if I can say it.
I don't know if you can either.
I'll tell you after the show.
Okay. All right.
You know,
well,
it's Ken in the background. Like Ken is like my handler now. Like if he knows, he's like, Danny, no.
You also have your wife and daughter in the comments.
Yeah, no. Well, yeah, that's true. Michael Bama Williams, my aunt works at Hummingbird. They did have a lot of personnel issues during COVID. And if I'm being honest, I think that unit was probably produced around that time.
Well be.
But I still think it was a lot to do with me. But that 360, when it is right,
Yeah,
dude,
it's a great tool, and all this stuff. That's
I can't
coming
tell
out
what a
of there's
fish is
just
on it, but I
tools.
sure as hell can tell what a stick is. And I
And it's
found
great for identifying structure, grass,
Yeah.
being around laydowns, wood, what rock is harder, what's a harder
Yes.
rock return. Like there's things 360 does that I wish I did have it on my boat, but I mean, I do have a very streamlined setup for these deeper offshore fishing.
Yeah, it's not really productive in deep water.
Well, one of the things that I had to experience for the very first time a couple weeks ago, I got on a boat with a guy that I met in a tournament on Eufaula, and he had perspective and forward-facing sonar on his garments. And the amount of information that you can interpret live between those two different views. I mean, I'm a Garmin guy when it comes to my forward-facing sonar. I've had great luck with them. It's got me thinking I got to figure something out, like I want to do it, but with the new regulations and with bass, like, I mean, if I fish any bass stuff, Bass Nation or whatever, I can't have two transducers.
And it changes the way you fish too. Cause like,
Yeah.
I mean, I filmed with Rob G a couple weeks ago, and like he still had his LVS 62 on his old boat, which is the saltwater transducer that they're not allowed to have next year. But being able to see out 200 foot to catch a bait ball, he's panning around, sees the bait ball at 200 foot and was able to dial it in on the LVS 34 on his forward. So like you were able to cover water twice as fast. Whereas if you have an LVS 34, you're only reading out to 100 versus seeing stuff out at 200. I mean, you're literally doubling your distance to be able to cover water that much faster.
I want to say I saw that on the new the Mega 2, and I might be wrong. I might have to go back and read, but being able to see it 100 plus on that. So
I can see over 100. When I'm out there looking for brush piles, I can get mine 150 feet out, and I can see a brush pile on my Garmin.
Can you really?
Yes,
Yeah,
I can.
For sure.
Yes, I can. And I may even be able to do it farther than that if I really would, I mean, and you could just about see the fish. I mean, if they're sitting right on that brush pile, you can see the fish around it too.
Yeah, pull up Shop Life's comment right there. The fish obsessed mount, only one transducer, but you can change the view quickly, and it's 0 degree and adjustable in every depth.
It's a great mount. I have it on my boat.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
Yep. And Trent's got his own mount too, so that's very similar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know what the difference is on it, but I mean, he's not going to produce junk. Trent just puts out good stuff, man.
It's the Boat Logic Switchblade mount.
Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, he just puts out good stuff.
So Tom Errico, how you doing tonight, dog? What do you think? It was right there. You were on it. One up. Yeah, pull that one up. What do you think? Surface clutter is reading of a soft surface, water turbulence, water temperature change.
All the above.
All the above. It could be all of it.
100%. And like if you take your trolling motor and you face it directly back towards your motor, and where you have waves splashing up against the boat in the back of the, like you can see the water coming up. It's a mix of everything. 2-stroke oil coming out of your boat like mine, like whatever it is. Like you can see
What's that slick?
the difference. Or if the winds, like the winds are picking up, and I mean you're fishing at 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, like you can see the difference in your live scope. Or you think about like light penetration, right? So you have your sonar that's pinging off of whatever contents are in the water. Well, as soon as it gets dark, like I like to fish dark to dark a lot of the times, you can't read your forward facing as good at nighttime as you can when that sun's up. Like it doesn't look as clear, as defined, because you have a lot more particles in the water. You don't have that light penetration of the sun for the sonar to really grab onto. So you're not reading things as clear when it's dark outside versus light outside. You have a clear water fishery like Lanier, or you're up in the dirt on Eufaula, like wherever you're at, like it definitely depends on how that sonar reads. So that's another thing to keep in mind, is just what is your water clarity? What is it like? What are you dealing with? What are the conditions you're dealing with? Light, dark? Is it cloudy? Is it sunny? Your sonar is going to read a little bit different depending on the conditions.
Okay, makes sense. So Chris Akins, appreciate you joining us tonight, sir. They said it was 100 foot plus. So
Yeah, that's what they're claiming with the new 100.
they're claiming like that.
I found this on the web for what's 100 plus. Check it out.
Siri's in the house.
Siri, who's Siri just picked up right there? That was like
It was on the
weird
speaker.
right there.
Yeah.
That was on speaker. Was that you, Ken?
was-
Are you
that was
sabotaging it?
Yeah.
I just looked at your phone and
It ain't me either. Well, the sonar gods have come and spoke right there. So,
The echo from Tim McGuire's toilet.
we should. That's who we should be making fun of. Zach Lamb, Mega 2 looks just as bad as Mega 1. I don't know. I don't know yet. We'll see.
I will say every forward-facing sonar brand, I feel like looks completely different. When you compare Active Target 2 to a Garmin LVS 34
That's
to the
true.
new Mega, like the fish don't look the same on any of the units. It's not
No.
like you can't say that Mega Live or the new Mega Live is like the LVS 32 because they just don't read the same.
They
You know what
don't.
I don't like about Active Target 2 versus the LVS 34? If I've got a hump or if I've got a point coming out and I'm perpendicular to that point, the Active Target will not pick up the fish on the back side of that hump.
But the
That
Garmin will.
LVS 34,
Oh yeah.
you bet your butt that,
So that-
it'll pick it up. And I'll tell you what, I've caught so many fish that way that I could see them suspended on the backside of a point or a hump or a rock pile or
Yep.
what. LVS 34. I mean, I won't change from Garmin unless something drastic happens.
So like that's the only reason I caught my PB was being able to use that feature. So I was posted up in 4 foot of water and dragging a big trout, right? And so I could see I was in 4 foot of water looking out, and then it at about 80 foot it dropped off steep, and I could see 3 big blobs sitting there. And so I slung a big trout out there. I let it hit the bottom, and I was slow rolling it up. I see 3 big blobs come up. I get bit and bow flip an 8-pounder. If I didn't see those big blobs out there, I would have seen nothing. Like if I was just looking out into the ether, I wouldn't have seen any of those fish or known
No.
they were there.
It is a blank spot. Maybe I didn't have it adjusted right because it was a loaner boat at the time, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I just don't like the looks of the Active Target.
I,
really
well,
don't.
I got on somebody's boat.
But I'm a
that had that.
Lowrance guy when it comes to my other units.
Yeah, but I will
Fair
say
enough.
this: that I saw his Active Target after being around Garmin and all that, and I was like, "What in the hell are you looking at?" He could tell everything.
Yeah.
It was like Chinese to me.
You get used to it
Yeah.
regardless of what you have.
But that was the first time I had seen one of them, and I was just kind of like, "Okay, what size screen on your Garmin?
I just upgraded. So
You got a 24?
I didn't go that big. So I had a 10 and I just upgraded to a 16 maybe about 6 months ago,
Yeah.
give or take. Trent hooked me up with a standalone lithium system, and just has all the little bells and whistles, little
Right.
switches to go to lithium versus, if something happens with my lithium battery, I can go and connect it to my cranking battery.
Oh yeah,
That
You know,
that
I
is
mean,
a
he
system
just-
that is slept on because like having that option, like I like 6 months ago, I was running just an AGM, and like through the day I would have some voltage drop because I like to fish really long days. So like I'd get to that 14 hours in the day and my live scope wouldn't read as clean and all that stuff. But now being able to, he put a standalone lithium kit in my boat a couple months ago, and being able to switch back over, like if my lithium's getting close and I don't want to run it all the way dead, I can switch over to AGM, and that battery being able to charge off the alternator, like that's having that peace of mind and that backup. If something does happen, like it gets super cold, a wire comes loose, a battery goes dead, and you can switch
Dude,
and all your power's back. Like that's
when he makes a recommendation like that, I'm like,
why not?
how much are you going to cost me?
Yeah.
How much is
Yeah.
it going to cost?
at that point, I'm
I
gonna
mean,
do it.
Yeah,
Trent.
I'm going to
Yeah.
do it regardless. So, I mean, he's got you.
Yeah,
You know
he
what I
always
mean?
got you because
But,
he wouldn't suggest something that wasn't right.
Because
No.
that's the thing is he's not trying to sell you on it. He's just like, hey, here are your options. This has 3 backup plans. This has none. But I mean, yeah, you're going to pay a little bit more for the 3 backup plans, but at the end of the day, I mean, why wouldn't you? Like when you're putting your money on the line, yourself on the line, and you want to know. I mean, it's the same thing with having a good motor on the back of your boat. You want to know that you're going to get back to weigh in. You want to know that you're going to make it back and not have to have problems. Like peace of mind on the water. Like I run a 25-year-old boat, and I know that for the most part, I'm going to get back to that ramp almost every time. Knock on wood. But
I understand. I get it. Dylan says his favorite new feature is the waypoint management from the One Boat Network app. Now, again, I watched the video and all that, and it's way over my head. I mean, I could watch it and learn it, but there was a lot of – Bill Carson was on a podcast, a local podcast, Backwoods Fishing podcast last night with Jeremy Mullinax, striper guy up here on Carter's and everything. And he was kind of talking about that too. And I was sitting there watching it for a second. I couldn't keep up with it. But the way it integrates everything and all that, I think that's what Dylan's talking about. And it is – it's legit, man. I mean,
Yeah, Lawrence has been doing that for years now.
No, listen, we're trying to give Humminbird some love.
Hey, listen, I'm not bashing Humminbird.
I know what you're saying, yeah.
But Lawrence has been. That's why people go with Lawrence is because of integration. You know,
yeah.
I mean, it's just
which is one of their strengths.
Yeah,
that is their strength. Yep. I get it. Tim McGuire is watching tonight. Hey guys, if you weren't making fun of me, I'd be butthurt. For those of you that don't know, Tim had a colonoscopy. He had a colonoscopy today. He sent a video where he was drinking a gallon of something. What was it? He was drinking. It was. Well, you know, you're in the medical field. It was a gallon jug or half-gallon jug of something
of hell.
That's what it was.
It didn't look like
fun. It's a gallon of stuff that will give it to you for hours. You will not sleep the night before. You start it the night before to get yourself all cleaned out. And it's just you do not sleep.
Does it clean everything?
Gabalite G.
Gabalite G.
It is just not. It's just nothing that you want to do on a regular basis. That is for darn sure.
But if you ever needed a reset,
I mean, listen, I've got something better.
Kiefer.
Okay. Nope.
Kiefer, do it. Yeah.
No, it's going to sound funny, but it's stuff called Poop Doc.
Poop Doc.
I've done a couple of those.
I know, right? But no, in all honesty, when I practice chiropractic, I heard about that stuff through a holistic, nutritionist, and I do it once a month. Like I will take a 3-day series of these. It's a magnesium pill, but you take 7 the first night, 5 the second, and 3 the third, and it's the most relaxed, colon cleanse. There's no cramping. There's nothing. You just can't trust a fart around 9 a.m.
How the hell? We're on a fishing podcast.
It's Tim McGuire's fault.
Talking about colon cleansing.
Yeah, it's Tim McGuire's fault.
I would hate to see what would shoot out of mine. Fish see above surface 10 to 20 feet. It's an obvious choice, both deep and offshore and shallow. I think we're back talking about. It might be on the Garmin. I don't know, Tom. I'm sorry. We got talking about colon cleansing John. For some reason. How many energy drinks is that tonight, Clint?
Son, I'm fired up.
He is.
I'm fired up on bass fishing and
your girl's watching.
In life. Oh God.
Your girl's watching. You got to perform.
Dude, honestly,
I'm sorry. I took my dog out and came back, and y'all are talking about poop cleanses. That's what I'm saying, Derrico. It's a rabbit hole. River Rat says, well, I guess it's time to upgrade my Lawrence 332s like that. And there is your boss right there watching right there. So can I tell him what you said about the worms?
Oh yeah. That's funny.
What were you doing this? Like you ain't told me nothing.
What?
Bad.
I didn't say
you didn't
nothing.
know where I was going with it. Like I scared the daylights out of Clint.
What are you talking about?
I promise Lee, he has not told me anything other than you thought those worms you won were live worms.
Yeah, she won them worms last week, and she was like, "So, how do they stay alive?"
Miss Leah won the question of the week last week. I had 2 packs of Robo worms, and so I was going to send them to her. Then I decided, well, I'll just give them to Clint. But what did you tell me before?
Well, she didn't know. Like, how do they stay alive in the pack? Like, are they not alive?
She's got a pretty smile.
Yeah, she does.
Yes, she does. I'm never going to live that down right there. Well, I appreciate you being a good sport about it too. Talking about a different species of crappie right there. So Listen, we got a lot of
I feel
We
bad
got-
she's tuned in for the poop segment of the
tuned in for
Fish
the
George
poop section right there. So, but anyway, so Tim, he's gonna have a rough week, rough couple of days. So, get gastric exit timing. The wife informed. Poop on the floor. Listen. All I know is listen.
All right, let's change. Let's
I don't
reel
even
this
know
back
where
in
we're
here,
going.
boys.
It happens
every
every time
time.
you come.
Every time.
Every time you come, we get down a rabbit hole that has nothing to do with fishing. And you know what? A first-time viewer on YouTube goes, "Oh, hey, look, fish. That looks cool." And we're talking about
Listen,
colon cleanses. He's like, "I thought it was a fishing."
Kevin last time. I haven't laughed that hard in a long
At Thornton?
time. When he started talking about being on the back of the boat with Denny, was it Denny Bauer?
I forget who was it. Who did Kevin take a dump with off? David
Oh,
Fritz.
David Fritz.
Yes, David Fritz.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, that I'm trying. I don't want to imagine it, but I'm trying to imagine it.
You're trying to think of Kevin naked on the back of a boat right now.
No, just with David Fritz in front.
But Kevin,
Just his reaction.
But Kevin has to be.
You
naked
think he was
in-
still
in it.
slinging a crankbait on the front while Kevin's back there?
Kevin's
just-
back there just
I
in
hope
the
so.
buff.
I hope so.
He's just up there just going.
Yep. I'm hoping he's just paying attention to what he's doing because
You think there was any conversation going on, really, though? I mean, like, seriously, like, you think
I
David
bet you
Fritz turned around and
David-
was like, dude, what are you doing?
I bet you
Kevin's
he's
like,
been
I gotta
talking-
go.
Yeah.
Why are you taking all your clothes off?
Well, I basically
Because
did,
this is what I do.
Yeah, I did that to Eddie this
Backsplash.
weekend. Yeah.
No backsplash.
I did that to Eddie this weekend on the Toys for Tots tournament. I was like, Eddie, that biscuit hit, and I didn't got much time. My boat flipped a fish in the boat, and I was like, Eddie, you got to deal with this. I gotta take care of something real quick.
When it hits, it hits.
Yeah.
I bet you he's still talking about Kevin.
Oh yeah, probably.
He's
You know, but
still
it-
telling
but-
that story.
But it's changed. You got Kevin's version, and now you got his version.
yeah.
I'm David Fritz. I'm like, listen,
Get David Fritz.
Leah,
on the
let's have him
show.
on the pod with Kevin.
Let's get him on the show, and I want to know what his opinion was
Yeah.
of that situation.
he's probably going like, listen, somebody asked him a question on podcast. He's like, one time I fished with this guy. Yeah, so no, I get it. So how does Sal and the rest of y'all tweak y'all's weed guards on jigs? I will tell you, I do not. On the jigs that I tie, I put a medium weed guard on it. It's got enough flex. I don't cut it. I leave it the length. I never change it when I fish it because it's limber enough. It's, stiff enough, but limber enough at the same time. So I never do anything. Do you do any of that?
I throw 2 jigs, 3
Oh,
jigs.
Here comes a little spotty.
Man, I mean
comes a
that's
little
no
spotty.
secret, right? I mean it catches fish.
It does.
I don't
It
have
does.
to do anything with the little spotty nickel titanium weed guards.
You couldn't adjust
Um,
them anyway if you wanted to, could you?
You can, but you have to be careful. Because Picasso they do not mold their jigs, the tungsten jigs with the hooks in the tungsten, and they don't melt the tungsten because it has such a
Yeah.
high melting point.
Right.
It causes the metal to be, brittle. So they actually hand, assemble their stuff.
Right.
My buddy Josh, he makes these another style finesse jig, and he has a medium, just your basic
Mhm.
plastic weed guards. I will fan those out a little bit.
You like to fan them out.
I will fan them out a little bit. I think.
Why? Is it a mental thing or what? What are you accomplishing by fanning your weed guard
I
out?
just feel like you don't get hung up as much.
Okay. I mean, fair
you
enough.
know but a friend of mine who passed away not too long ago, when he took me out bass fishing on Black Lake up just right down the
Yep,
road
I
from
know
St.
where that's
Lawrence
at.
River,
Yep.
right? And he did it, so that's why I did it. Anytime I fish the jig with those, with
Just
the
because you
plastic,
saw it.
I
and
just
yeah.
fan it out, and I just think it and when the fish bites down on it, I feel like
It's a
you get better.
confidence thing with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, it's-
I've seen a lot of guys that will take, so you got your weed guard up here and here's your hook. I've seen a lot of guys take a pair of scissors
and
and
snip
go
it.
parallel with the top of the hook.
Mhm.
I don't know. You
So
do anything?
I've been trimming the weed guard a little bit. I've been throwing a queen tackle peanut jig a ton this fall. Like I've caught more fish on that jig in the past few months than any other bait this year. And so I've been trimming it down just a little bit.
Mhm.
I don't know if it really makes a whole lot of difference, but you got to think like somebody who flips a jig like Hackney, he's got a tuna hook in that thing. But with the peanut jig, it's a little bit more of a light wire. So anything that you can get just a little bit more room for that penetration to go through and keep it strong, I think it does help. But you definitely can overdo it and get hung up all the time. So I kind of like to just cut it out of 45 with that hook to where it's just a little bit less closer to that hook, just so you get a little bit better penetration.
Okay, makes sense. So Tim says fanning helps if the jig rolls on the side. So we have a one here that the mold is called a brush jig, but I have more people say they get hung up with it than a regular arky skip cast jig. But I guess if you do set it up, it is one of those that would roll because it's not flat. So that might help that. Maybe that's something I can tell people to do. I try not to pour them unless it is. So Sal, what's with you? You know, you just come back from that tournament a couple months ago. What's your plans for next year? What you gonna do? You gonna take it easy?
You know,
Fish around here? What?
So we had the state classic on Lake Eufaula.
Yep.
Okay. And you know, my intention was to back away from the club trail for a year and then reevaluate it. And you know, just because my club is on the west side of Atlanta, out in, you know, Douglasville, Villa Rica area. So they fish a lot of lakes that are 3.5 or 3 hour plus, you know, lakes.
Yeah, y'all go in Alabama.
Yeah, a lot, you know. And so a trip that may be an hour and a half for them is 3 hours for me. So I started getting burnt out on the travel a little bit. So my intention was to not fish the club this year. Well, go down to Lake Eufaula and I come in 7th place and qualify for the Southern Regionals. And to be able to fish that, I have to be active in a club. So I'm in the process of either, you know, sticking with my club, Lost Mountain Bassmasters, or joining a club that is more local and fishes more local lakes.
Yeah. But it still has to be a Bass Nation club, right?
It has to be a Bass Nation club. Yes, you have to pay 3 memberships: Georgia Bass Nation, and Bassmaster, or BASS.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, and then my intentions was just to fish the ABA AFT with Dane Hunter and Alex Pierce. You know, because you still have the ability to make a national tournament through them, and that one got canceled in October. You know, I mean, my schedule in October, if that tournament did get canceled, was going to be absolutely insane. I was going to fish Lake Murray, okay, spend a week at Lake Murray, come home for a week, go down to Lake Eufaula in Alabama, fish that for a week, come home for a week, and then go to the Lake of the Cherokees, Grand Lake.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Well, you know, Helene ruined that, you know, so Murray got canceled, and that's in May. So, which is not a bad time to fish that lake.
Not at all.
You know, I think that's when the elites were there last
That's
year.
That's exactly what was getting ready to come out of my mouth.
They were all throwing top water, and I kind of like
it was crazy.
Yeah,
I remember watching McKinney. And Patrick, all of them. It was just
they were fishing the OG.
They were. That was one of the more entertaining tournaments to watch as far as that. So Kevin says, shout out to Sonar Pros. Trent did my boat just like Sal and Clint's. Awesome job. And I wore him out with questions and he addressed everyone. So that's what happens when you do business. You let an old man bring that boat in, because like that man right there, that boat is just, that's the cleanest.
And I tell you, all you need to do is anybody that gets their boat rigged at Sonar Pros, open their battery box and look at it, and you'll want yours to look like it. I'm telling you, there's no cleaner job. Like it looks the way where they put stuff and wires, it looks like there's nothing like I've got old 2-stroke with a big oil container in the back. My gas cans are in the back. You open up the back and it looks like there's nothing in there, and I have power to run all day. So it's awesome.
They had to clean up the Triton out from the factory, my boat. Yeah. Like it was a disaster back there coming from the factory. They got it all nice and clean.
Yeah, they do that.
They do some serious work, man. I mean, honestly, again, you know, I've got nothing but positive things to say about their work. I just have bad luck with transducers. Yeah. That's my thing.
And that's not a them issue. That's more the
it's not Sonar Pros.
Yeah. All right, so we're about an hour 50 in, and I'm going to kind of ease off into this right now and kind of, you know, end it a little bit, because I have to be in Chattanooga at 9:00 in the morning. So with traffic and all that, I'm leaving about 6 from here just to get there. But Sal, thank you for coming up here. It's always fun when you come. We always get in trouble with some of the things we say. We kept it better. We had the police behind us this time.
He kept us on track.
He kept us on track and all that. Yeah. But I appreciate you coming up here and hanging with us. It's always, and that daggone, what was that stuff we ate?
That was
Yeah, that was
that
good.
was my grandmother's homemade sausage roll.
That stuff was legit.
It was awesome.
That was
Yeah,
absolutely legit.
Yeah,
but
and I only make it during the holidays. I
it's a
just
good damn thing because
It's a good time.
I would absolutely be
We'd
fat
be
as hell.
rolling out of here.
All right, real quick, what weight is going to win the NPFL and what will be big fish of the tournament? I'm going to go 7-1 on big fish, and I would say, I mean, what is it, 3 days all the way through?
Yeah.
I'm going to go 18 pounds a day, so that might be light, but that's going to put me in about 54 pounds.
Yeah, I think you're close with that.
54 pounds. I always
Yeah.
I always normally go way higher, but
I'm gonna say 62-14,
okay.
and I'll go an 8-2 big fish.
8-2.
8-2.
Alex, you got a guess?
Nah,
Nah,
I don't even know where they're fishing.
Murray. Murray. It's
Farmer, I miss you out
it's
there,
like
by the
Lanier,
way.
so-
Just FYI. I
Yeah.
don't get to see you enough, buddy.
that's
And I
right.
hope your little girl feels better.
Dylan Aiken says 65 pounds. So, I mean, I went light this time. I normally, the guy goes way heavy and all that. So, but thank you, man, for coming up here.
Dude, it's always a pleasure. Like,
We have
I've
fun.
got to get up early. I'm usually rolling into the parking garage at the hospital a little after 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a stretch for me to be out this late on a Tuesday night. But, man, dude, from the bottom of my heart, I can't appreciate you more having me on here. I really don't have the knowledge that a lot of these guys that you have on, like the two
Hell,
pros that you had on tonight. But, man, I do love it. It's honored
Great
to
to
finally
finally-
meet
yeah,
you
for
and,
sure.
and sit down at the table with you. So thank
Yeah.
you.
We'll do it more.
I'd love to do some fishing with you on some of those
we
North
got a
Georgia
circle
lakes.
going
Need
on
to.
right here.
Yeah,
We
man.
need to. Yeah, a lot
Yeah,
of
dude.
love,
No, I just-
right here.
Yeah, dude.
A
I
lot of
appreciate
love.
you guys.
But, no,
But
it's
that's
al-
the
it's always
community you've built with Fish North Georgia,
fun.
right?
Yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah,
It's
and you
good,
want to
man.
know something? Picasso. This is not a plug. Picasso up in Pennsylvania asked Dan Vesuvio, "What are you guys doing with those little spotties down there in Georgia?" And it's because of you, and you allow me to come on here and talk about them. So I thank you for that as well.
You're welcome. Just tell them to send me a damn check.
I'm trying to get a check myself.
Just send me a check.
But no, in all honesty, you know, your show is reaching people.
It is.
It-
Again, we
it's-
got
yeah.
people all over. Four
Yeah.
dogs from Oklahoma and all that.
Yeah.
So, and his son, and we're going to have him on here in the near future. His son and partner just won the JUCO College National Championship.
Nice.
Cool.
We don't get a lot of talk about the junior colleges and
Yeah.
all that. So it's going to be interesting to get them on Thursday night. The cat's going to be away. The mice are going to play. So y'all ain't figured out exactly what you're going to do, but I'm going to let the guys run the show
Awesome.
Thursday night. So just we'll see what all they get into.
Oh,
We'll
boy.
put it out there. So, but anyway, guys, listen, appreciate you joining us. And it's always fun, always a pleasure for us to actually turn these cameras on and get to talk to you guys. And the simple fact that you guys hang with us the entire time means more to us than you absolutely can imagine. So I know it's raining out there. If you're going to be on the roads after this, stay safe.
Yeah, be careful. I got rear-ended on the way here.
He got
so-
rear-ended on there. Yeah. Luckily, he's got a big trailer or a big,
big old hitch on the back. Put a big hitch on the back,
Put a
boys,
big hitch
because
on the back.
it saved my truck. My truck's flawless, but the car that rear-ended me is not.
Sounds like
So,
my
There was a
daughter.
Tacoma in the ditch.
really.
A couple miles back on the way here.
Got to watch for those deer right now too. They're rutting. They're everywhere.
Oh,
so
man,
you
it's
got to
amazing.
be careful like that. So it was Tommy Biffle that he used off the side of the boat right there. So Tony, we appreciate you as well. So you guys have a great rest of the your night, and the guys will see you Thursday night, and I will see you the following week. So we appreciate you.